Stempenyu's lineage. Stempenyu was a nickname of sorts he'd inherited from his father. His old man, God rest him, was a klezmer known as a barrel bass or barrel stempener after the village of Stempenyu, not far from Mazepevki. He played double bass and was also a decent bathin with a gift for rhymes. He was an inveterate swindler who disguised himself as a beggar at every wedding. He would roll us his eyes, could dance like a bear or imitate a woman in childbirth screaming, "Granny, I swear on a pair of tefillin that it'll never happen again." He was known to unexpectedly flood a house so that the men would be forced to roll up their trousers and the women would lift their skirts or to play hawks on the mother of the bride, and all manner of such pranks and japes. Klezmer music had been in Stempenyu's family going back several generations. Barrel bass or barrel stempener, as we already know, played the bass, his father Reb Shmulik trumpet played the trumpet, his grandfather Reb Favush cymbaler played the cymbalon, and his grandfather Reb Ephraim violin. Well, in short, Stempenyu was the result of the 10th generation of klezmer, and he was not in the least ashamed of it, as a simple laborer is sometimes ashamed of his lot. And was it any wonder? His name rang out in Mazepevki, as it did all over the world. It was no small thing to utter the name Stempenyu. Jews considered it a great privilege to hear Nizi Belsir sing, Gadik the Bethin recite, and Stempenyu perform. You can be sure that Stempenyu was no simple musician. He wasn't just anybody, and no doubt it was with good reason that he had earned his reputation. We Jews are fond of listening to music and have a good grasp of melody. Even our enemies would be the first to admit that. And yet, on the other hand, we don't often get the opportunity to hear it. What do we have to celebrate after all for us to suddenly break into song and dance? Say what you will, though, we are still connoisseurs, experts in both singing and playing music, and in all manner of other things to boot. When a cantor comes to town, we rush out to buy tickets, and what would a wedding be without a klezmorium? And for that feeling, when the time comes to drink the golden broth and the band plays a song, usually not a happy one. The happy one comes later. For that, we'd give up a whole sackful of borscht. The audience sits in rapt awe while the band plays a sad song, a dirgeful morlane. The fiddle whips singing to the lower strings, and the other musicians follow in mournful accord. The audience grows melancholic, feeling preoccupied. Quite pleasantly so, but preoccupied, none of the less. They are plunged deep into thought, eyes downcast, rubbing their fingers on their plates, or absent-mindedly rolling little crumbs of fresh challah in their hands, buried in their own sad thoughts. As no doubt everyone has worries, a Jew doesn't need to go looking for trouble. And the gloomy music mingles with the sad thoughts and the singing toik, toik, toik of the fiddle calls out to, touches, and finds an echo in the heart of each wedding guest. The heart itself, and particularly the Jewish heart, is a violin. You pluck the strings, teasing out various, generally sad and gloomy songs. You just need to have a real musician on hand, a skilled klezmer like a Stempenyu was. And oh, was a Stempenyu skilled! He would grab his fiddle, and with one pass of his bow, just one mind use, the fiddle would begin to speak. What do I mean by speak? I mean just literally, with words, with a tongue like, excuse the comparison, a living human being. talking, arguing, singing mournfully in the Jewish fashion with such a wild cry from deep inside, from the very soul. Stempenyu would throw his head back to one side, his long black locks of hair strew over his broad shoulders. He would raise his dark, burning eyes, and that handsome, radiant face of his would be suddenly grow deadly pale. Another minute, and the Stempenyu was no longer. You'd see nothing but a hand darting back and forth, and hear various sound. All manner of songs flowed, and all such sad, melancholy tones that they would touch you to the quick, tugging at the soul and causing untold damage to your health. The audience members were sapped of all energy, their limbs hanging limply. Jews sighed, moaned, and cried as their hearts filled up with emotion, their eyes welled up with tears. And Stempenyu, what about him? There is no point in asking where he was in the world. He did his thing. Talk, talk, talk. And that's it. And then once he'd finished playing, he would flying in the fiddle to the ground and grab his chest, his eyes burning like a pair of Havdalah candles, his handsome face as radiant as could be. The audience would rouse up as though from a sweetly melancholy slumber and begin to express their enthusiasm with one voice. There would be a chorus of gasps as they applauded, chirped, and marveled, unable to praise him highly enough. Stempenyu or Stempenyu. And the woman? What is there to say about the woman? It's doubtful if as many tears are shed on Yom Kippur as would be shed during one of Stempenyu's performances. Even the destruction of the temple itself does not warrant the amount of weeping the woman indulged in while Stempenyu played. My God, grant that I'll be able to hire Stempenyu for my youngest daughter wedding, Lord above. So implored the woman, weeping their swollen red eyes and blowing their noses, and as they did so, their pearls, gold earrings, rings, brooches, chains, and other Jewish adornments shone and sparkled like fire. But let's don't forget about the girls, the demoiselles who were struck quite motionless, pinned like mannequins to their seats, gazing at Stempenyu and his fiddle, unable to move a muscle, unable to blink, while here and there, somewhere beneath their corsets, little hearts beat, tick-tock, tick-tock, oftentimes letting slip a hidden sigh.